Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Look at how gray my hair is in the sunlight. Like I'm straight gray now. Damn, am I gonna have to start like dyeing my hair? What the fuck? That's crazy. I didn't realize how gray I was. I'm gray as fuck. Hey, it's getting grayer all the time too. It's a little weird having straight up just gray hair in my 30s. Maybe celebs are lying, but I feel like my dad, when I was born, he would have been 36 or 37, so my age, had like very, very little gray. Like there was no gray to speak of. I look at pictures of him when I was young, he didn't. So fucking stress, I guess. Years of stress does this. I don't know. Need to go get a haircut though. My hair has went from mostly brown to mostly gray in the time that I've streamed. So from 32 to 37. That's crazy, man. That's actually crazy. If I could grow a full beard, it would be okay. Because I could look like a wizard. I do need to get a haircut anyway because my long hair it's like really struggling. So many dead ends and stuff. I'm going to cut it short. It's crazy that there's no one in here today, but that's fine. Stream's been kind of dead here lately. And that's my fault. I can't blame anybody for that. I haven't been consistent at all. But I'll give it a minute. We'll see if anybody pops in here. If they don't, I'll just bail out. Say fuck it. I guess what I'll do is find something interesting to watch that won't get me in trouble. I'm a reaction streamer, chat. Fuck, there's not really anything I want to watch. I don't feel particularly good. I gotta go to a doctor because I don't feel good most of the time. I straight up felt sick this morning, like genuinely ill, and I don't know why. If I had insurance, dude, I would. If I had insurance, I would go right away. If I go to a doctor right now, like you have to understand that I have less than 2K in the bank. It's gone. My doctor visit without insurance is going to be about $1,500, and then I have to pay rent after that, which is a little bit above 600. If we're not taking even insurance and all that other stuff, it completely, I have nothing left. I lose everything. And then God forbid something happens, like I get a flat tire or, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be dismissive either. I want to go to the doctor. The only solution I can realistically come up with is sacrifice having 5 days off a week to go get a different job. Which would really suck, and not just because of stream. I mean, I haven't been consistent with stream here lately anyway. I've been dealing with a whole bunch of shit in real life. But God, it's just such a good schedule, dude. Now, one of my friends, he made 9K. It's interesting. This guy I used to be the boss of, made 9K more last year than I did. He works as a contractor. But there was a company that he worked for. He ended up getting let go from there. But he was working 64-hour shift weekends there from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. 4 p.m. Friday to 8 a.m. Saturday, or Monday, rather. And was making a shit ton of money. Way more than me. He ended up leaving, but if I remember right, they did have a good insurance program. So I might have to look into that. I'm not really excited about working yet another 16 hours, 64, 72-hour shift, something like that. 64, I think. That doesn't sound fun, but making, 50% more income or something. It's not quite 50%, but it's close. It's like 40% more income, and having insurance would be nice. It's just fuck. Like, it's a weird catch-22 where it's like, I don't know that I literally don't know that I have the energy to work 64-hour shifts doing what I do. In my 20s, it wouldn't have been a problem, But dude, it's so exhausting. Holy fuck. And you get these you get weekends, at least I do sometimes, where everybody is just in the worst state imaginable the whole time. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna sleep and I'm gonna have to be fending people off for the next, you know what I mean? It's, fuck. Yeah, but I mean, I just have to get over it. I have to do something. So I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. The easiest way to get insurance is go back to where I used to work. But I would take a huge pay hit. I don't know that I'd be able to pay rent. That was their problem. If they just paid more, it wouldn't have been an issue. But inflation hit everybody, then COVID hit everybody, then inflation hit everybody again, and they didn't increase their wages, their staff. They did eventually, but it was like really marginal. It's like, oh, you get an extra $1 an hour or $2 or something like that. And everything literally cost twice as much. When I first started working at my last job as a regular direct support, not as a manager or anything, I was making... Dude, vibe coding is so stupid. I have heard of vibe coding. What it's going to do is... The popularity of it is what's scary, not the fact that it exists. We all... We all predicted that that was going to end up being a thing. Everybody predicted that AI slop was going to end up being everywhere. As soon as Stable Diffusion hit, we were like, oh shit. Then ChatGPT, oh shit. I don't remember the exact order, but it doesn't matter. The funny thing is, a big portion of the development cycle is maintenance. It's actual maintenance. Like, things get updated, dependencies change, new features need to be added, etc. You cannot just... You're going to create a whole bunch of code that you could never reproduce on your own. And then you're going to be expected to maintain it somehow, which you can't do. And so we're going to see this spaghettification of code across the web, I think. I haven't taken a real big deep dive into vibe coding. I kind of thought that, like all the other AI things, it's just a... not even a trend, but like a... oh shit, I don't know what the word for it is. A sensationalist narrative that is pushed to the masses in order to get clicks and views. That's true. But I don't think that vibe coding somehow makes that better. It's still going to make it worse. I think it's still going to be worse. Because, I mean, if I write a code base, or if it's a human code base, even, like a human being wrote it, unless they're like some 225 IQ guy who literally knows everything about a particular language, is an absolute genius and no one else can maintain his code, or the guy is so bad and it's so spaghettified that no one else can maintain it, at least human readable code can be maintained to some degree. But because you didn't make a conscious effort to code the thing in the first place, hell, a human intelligence didn't, it's going to be impossible to maintain when you want to maintain it. Maybe not impossible, but it'll be really bad. I think. I'm just guessing. But it reminds me of The Expanse a little bit. We're going to end up in a... calling it this is not entirely accurate, but a post-job society, I think, is coming. I think a post-job society is coming. And the reason why it's not entirely accurate... oh, dude, I guarantee you there are already startups that are like, our AI is way better for vibe coding than their AI. Like, that's already a thing. And when I say like post-job or post-career, I don't mean that all jobs are going to disappear. That's absolutely not going to happen. What's going to end up happening, though, is, I mean, weirdly, falling birth rates might help us in the first world, but there will be fewer jobs. So not that jobs will magically disappear, but unemployment rates will certainly start going up. They already are. And people are like, well, you'll just transition from, maintaining the AI from maintaining the code. And it's like, yeah, no. I mean, that's not inaccurate, but like one person really good with AI who maybe knows how to code could poorly do the work of like 10 people. And capitalist companies, corporations are going to take advantage of that. They're just going to have one dude do it all. I dude, yeah. But it's going to start getting into everything. It already is. It's going to start is A, passive way of saying it, and B, inaccurate. It's already beginning. We as a society, the problem, okay, I'm so ADHD, I'm having a hard time parsing my thoughts because I'm thinking a lot of things. So if you really think about it, technology moves at a faster rate than sociopolitical philosophy does, right? So our ability to combat changes in technology from like a really large socioeconomic perspective gets more and more difficult because technology changes so quickly. That's why you have so many weird technology laws where basically if you use a computer for any way other than intended, that could potentially constitute a felony. Why? Because politicians don't understand exploits and vulnerabilities and you know what I mean? Nowadays, they are way more conscious of like, oh, you need, a strong password and I know what a phishing email is and etc. You know what I mean? But it's still, they're so far behind the curve when it comes to those sorts of things that they have to implement really, really vague legislation so that whenever there's like a niche, like an edge case where somebody does something really nefarious, but it doesn't fall under any of the specific things in legislation, they don't get off. Right? So we got to make it really vague. And when you start using AI is going to probably explode the progress of technology so incredibly quickly. There's no way politicians and legislators are going to be able to keep up. We're already seeing crimes done with AI, like tons and tons of crimes. The worst being CSAM. I'm trying to use the fucking abbreviation because it's really gross. CSAM, I think, is the shorthand that politicians like to use nowadays. You can look that up if you want to, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Basically, no, I can probably find a careful way to describe it. Using generative AI to make images and videos of minors in compromising situations, basically. People are already getting arrested for it. Like, there are really shitty people in the world. Technology is going to be used for shitty purposes. Always has, always will. The problem is that politicians can't keep up. So when do we become a technocracy? Like, when do we say, oh, shit, politicians can't keep up? Let's just outsource all these legislators' jobs to our AI overlord. Now, that's like verging on science fiction. But I guarantee you, if it's not already, very soon AI will be a vital part of our political process, everybody's political process across the globe. Because of the way that it accrues information, it would be current on topics that specific politicians wouldn't be privy to. So like they literally probably already are going, hey, ChatGPT, I need advice on this particular case. What do you think? I guarantee you that's already happening. And I think it's just going to become more and more integral in everything. Lawyers are going to use it. Legislators are going to use it. What would you call them? The executive branch, which is the presidential branch, is going to use it. The military is already using it. So there's a lot of benefits to AI, but man, I don't like outsourcing responsibility to AI. That's really worrisome. There's like a lot of weird social side effects that we could talk about with generative AI, but outsourcing responsibilities to AI is where it starts to get real scary, I think. At what point do we start trusting AI to target individuals overseas without any human oversight? I bet it's already happening. Guarantee you somebody's been hit with like a cruise missile or something. A human didn't touch it. I feel like that's probably already happened. They're probably just not telling us. I mean, hell, the stealth bomber, right? It was classified for 16 years. And that sounds like a long time until you realize it was leaked. They didn't say, "Oh, hey, we got this thing. It's called Stealth Bomber." They didn't do that. It was leaked, which meant that the technology to do those things was 16 years old. What the public was aware of, right, was at least 16 years behind the technologies being implemented by the government. And the only reason why we found out about it was because it was leaked. Which means that if there are technologies you imagine we could use for a military purpose, we already are using it, almost definitely. I don't honestly know enough about it. I know that it got pushed to my YouTube suggestions. I know that it's been like defunded. And this was the video I found. Cybersecurity just got fucked. I'm surprised that Krusty hasn't talked to me about this. Because it feels like it's up his alley.
Hey, emergency video because this is kind of firing me up. Today, April 15th, this letter was leaked out online from MITRE that says, "Dear CVE board member, we want to make you aware of an important potential issue with MITRE's enduring support to CVE. On Wednesday, April 16th, tomorrow, the current
if you look up CVE now, he's now at the top. But this was pushed 2 days ago to my suggested. So he immediately popped off with this video. He immediately popped off. The thing that's interesting about it, because I didn't watch the whole thing, the thing that's interesting about it is that it doesn't feel... This is just a personal opinion. It doesn't feel very internet content-esque. So there is like a style of content now. I don't know if you've noticed it. I feel like older people probably have. But content is different than it used to be. It's interesting because grassroots content made by people like me and Crims and fucking everybody on the internet is starting to feel more and more like legacy media. Just in the way that it talks and the way that it like clickbait is so much more prevalent, but it's more than that. It's also like the way videos are edited and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't strike me as that at all. He just strikes me as a dude that's pissed off. So for him to pop off so well is great.
Programs such as CWE will expire. The government continues to make considerable efforts to continue MITRE's role in support of the program. If a break in service were to occur, we anticipate multiple impacts to CVE, including deterioration of national vulnerability databases and advisories, tool vendors, incident response operations, and all manner of critical infrastructure.
So InfraGard has been disconnected from the FBI. Wait, so does that weaken the FBI's cybersecurity capabilities? So there, for the record, FBI is domestic. If you live outside the United States, you might not know this, but CIA is more international. Basically, we use the NSA for national security, right? They work with the Department of Homeland Security a lot. But there's also the CIA, right, which is the Central Intelligence Agency. That mostly deals with foreign stuff, like intel on Osama bin Laden or whatever, right? Although they have definitely done operations within the domestic U.S. In most cases, they were not supposed to be doing. But the FBI is primarily domestic. So if something is going on inside of the United States that needs to be investigated, and it's a big federal thing, it's going to be the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Oh, interesting. So it's not going from InfraGard to FBI, it's going from FBI to InfraGard. So critical private infrastructure is now put in a precarious position because their partnership with the FBI has been okay. I don't know. Let me hear what he has to say.
What the fuck? My buddy Tiberius was the first to break the news on this, and that's the gist. That's the long and short of it. CVE's just kind of...
Nothing new has been posted about InfraGard. That's what I wanted to... I was scrolling back to read what you said.
Now, presumably this was a...
Discontinuance is the word I was looking for, too.
I see someone chatting, "Oh, you leaker," and Tibbs responds, "The public deserves to know this," which, yeah. There's a lot of chatter and conversation on this, but I think most folks that I know are upset, frustrated, sad, angry, heartbroken, all of the things that are a bit like, what? I got to chat with some reporters about this pretty quickly after the news broke, but U.S. funding running out for critical cyber vulnerability database manager.
It's getting hot in here.
Defense and research-focused nonprofit MITRE Corporation says funding from the government runs out on Wednesday for it to maintain a critical database of cyber vulnerabilities used by security researchers and digital defenders the world over. I don't think I need to break it down for you what the heck a CVE is. We've covered that in many videos. That's just the focus of this channel and my life, right? MITRE said in an email that the funding will expire. You can see the quotes there. The Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, whose parent agency funds the contract, confirmed the contract was ending and said, we are urgently working to mitigate impact and to maintain CVE services on which global stakeholders rely. This is so bonkers to me. This is like vulnerabilities. This is the common language that we use, just kind of getting cast out, thrown on the ground, tossed out the window. Reuters couldn't establish the reason for the contract's lapse, but CISA is, like the rest of the federal government, undergoing a radical downsizing driven in part by tech tycoon Elon Musk's U.S. Doge service. Now, I don't like to play in the political pool, but my God, cyber defenders said they were aghast at the news of the program's lapse. One compared it to suddenly deleting all dictionaries. Now, this is me, right? These are my words. We'd lose the language and lingo we use to address problems in cybersecurity, said me. I swore out loud when I heard the news. I really can't help but think this is just gonna hurt. Perfect quote from Brian Martin, pulling the plug on the...
I was so confused when he said that, but no, he's literally quoting himself from an article. How cool is that? I'm gonna have to write an article where Assassin Teddy says something and then make a video where I quote myself saying a thing in the article. That confused me. I've been paying attention to everything he said. And he's like, says me. And I'm like, what the fuck? What? And I look up and it literally says, said John Hammond, the principal security researcher at managed security company Huntress.
Database would cause an immediate cascading effect that will impact vulnerability management on a global scale. You're just cutting the legs off the cybersecurity industry.
Damn.
Cybersecurity world on edge as CVE program prepares to go dark. This is what's bewildering to me because it's tomorrow, right? And there's a lot of uncertainty, absolute kind of like chaos of like, what are we gonna, what's happening? What do? No
Man.
CVEs? Do we just go off of hope?
Dude, now is not the time. Now is not the fucking time. But, I mean, like, of course, Russia presents a problem, but I think China presents an even greater problem. Because China wants control of the chip manufacturing infrastructure in Taiwan. And they have a history of cyber attacks on the United States. And so we need really, really good coordination between public and private enterprise to ensure that critical infrastructure isn't fucked with. So this worries me a little bit. This is one of the first times that I've heard something where I'm like, fuck, okay, we got a real problem. What's interesting is that this is like a... I'm not going to say that. That's going to get too political. I'm going to leave that thought in my head.
Now there's 5 vulnerabilities for the cybersecurity.
5 vulnerabilities.
5 alarm fire. And scrolling down, there is no backup plan. I don't know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow, today, if this video goes out then. But like, what the f? Obviously, everyone is talking about this. LinkedIn, Twitter, news articles. Brian Reb's got it out. MITRE has announced the funding is gonzo. The CVE database is critical. Obviously, I reached out. Looks like, yeah, it's real. The leak now confirmed. They include the contract. Oh, wow. Cool. USAspending.gov. We can see this coming down. This is with DHS, Department of Homeland Security, with MITRE. Looks like details here, amount, money.
That is interesting.
What else is there? Does this include the date? Brian Krebs said, yeah, end date 4/16.
I'll look it up.
Control F for like 2025. There is no...
Dude, I totally do that exact same thing all the time. One thing I really, really like, I wish that Q Browser had more support because Q Browser in Linux, I'm pretty sure it's /, which is so nice. Just / type of thing, enter. It's so quick to just look something up on a page. But it's a very keyboard centric. Like, we're getting off topic, but
2025 other than the copyright footer. Okay.
It's not like Control F is hard. It's just nice having a single key that does it.
Likely going offline tomorrow. They've told me that for now, historical records will be available on GitHub.
So here's the thing. This was 2 days ago. Has there been a follow-up? It says, no, that's also 2 days ago. That's so accurate. The CVE program not having a backup plan is a CVE. That's accurate. Is there not any follow-up? So if I were to go, hang on, filters, last hour would be good, but today, 32K from low level, the exploit, hacker's dream, cyber industry, almost died. Brody, go figure. Almost died today. What does he got to say?
So by the time you see this,
Brody, bro, you're going down the same fucking route as me, homie. You gotta stop eating all the good tasting food, dude. I've gained weight too, which sucks. I don't want to be gaining weight. But he used to be a scrawny dude, and as he gets older, he gets a little bit chubbier every video I watch him. And like, bro, I get it. I get it. I like taquitos too, man. I do. I like sandwiches on thick-ass white bread or even like potato bread. Holy shit, so good. Don't, no. You gotta stop, dude. No more sodas, which I don't really drink soda anyway, but...
something I say may be out of date. I will try to remember to update the description. I may forget though, so be sure to check any of the most recent sources on the matter. I don't like doing politics on this channel, but sometimes tech and politics intertwine. When the main CVE database, which is the mark we use for vulnerabilities in software, is funded by the US government, sometimes the topic is going to arise.
We are approaching the circularity I joked about one day with cloud computing when Google has all their repos on GitHub.
To replace it, and then undied. So let's
wait. So undied. All right, what's going on?
Replace it, and then undied.
How did it undie?
Let's go back to the start with how everybody found out this was happening. This is a leaked letter posted on Twitter by someone known as Tiberius. Dear CVE board member, we want to make you aware of an important potential issue with during support to CVE.
I'll move this up a little bit.
April 16th, 2025, the current contracting pathway for MITRE to develop, operate, and modernize CVE and several other related programs such as CWE will...
My mic is picking up all sorts of shit that it should be picking up.
...efforts to continue MITRE's role in support of the program. If a break in service were to occur, we anticipate multiple impacts to CVE, including deterioration of national vulnerability data and advisories.
I know why. I don't need this anymore. Hang on. Where is this? Is it the compressor? Yeah, I've got output gain way up higher than it needs to be. Hang on. Got to see my actual mic levels. Mic check 1 2 1 2. I think I had it at like 5. No, 7.5, right? Yeah, 7.5. So I don't know why, but my audio interface fixed itself. So I was getting static when the microphone was all the way up, and I don't seem to be now. If you hear static, let me know. I'll turn it back down, and I'll crank the fucking gain back up like I did last time. But I'm going to have to get a new audio interface. The thing's 15 years old. I think the thing's just tired. You know what I mean? It's had enough. It's like, please just let me die. I'm sure that's probably how it feels. Also, the no, I'm not gonna mess with the thresholds, although it sounds like it should. Dude, it's pretty old. You actually have to admit that getting 15 years out of a piece of technology, and the only bad thing, well, there's two bad things. One, it doesn't have loopback like new ones do, and it's starting to develop a little bit of static. That's it. For instance, it uses USB-A to Type B. Like it's old. I remember I lost the cable for it. I ended up having to steal one from an old HP printer because it was hard to find. It was the weird square USB-B. Do you know what I'm talking about? So it's pretty fucking old. The fact that I've gotten that much life out of it is great. It's just, if I'm going to get another one, I need to get one with loopback, because loopback just makes handling audio a lot better, especially between different programs that use audio. And unfortunately, Scarlett, the company that makes this, no longer make it so that the 2i2, which has 2 inputs, has loopback. And they've made their 2i2 so it's only 1/4 inch jack, so it doesn't support my microphone's XLR plug-in. I have to pay for a 4i4. which is like almost $300. And it has 4 inputs, which nice. But it's interesting that my 2i2 has a combination 1/4 inch XLR input. So it's both. I can put either one in either one, right? It's still considered a 2 in, 2 out. That's 2i2. The 4i4 is exactly the same as my 2i2. But it is like counting the XLR and the 1/4 inch jack as separate connections when it's just one plug-in. You can only plug 2 things into it at a time. I could be wrong, but the last time I looked at one, I was like, this is just a 2i2. You guys are upselling it, you know? We can make an extra $100 off of this. And the loopback feature is a software feature that can be available in the 2i2. They purposely just omitted it so people would pay for the more expensive one. So I thought about getting like a Volt interface or some kind of alternative, because it annoys me just a little bit that they would do that. I kind of want to go to another company. But Focusrite is famous, man. I bought it back way, way, way before anybody was really using one. I used it for guitar. The reason why I bought it was because a dude named Misha Mansour, who's the guitarist for a band called Periphery, but at the time he had a solo project called Bulb. He was a really good guitar player. He was like, hey, if you need a cheap interface, get one of these. And they had a kit that was like $125, came with headphones, a microphone, the necessary cables, and the audio interface. Now to get one that does the same thing without the headphones and without the cables is $300. So like literally doubled in price since I bought that thing.
Tool vendors,
Annoys me.
response operations, and all manner of critical infrastructure.
I've totally lost track
Mitre
of.
continues to be committed to CVE as a global resource. We thank you as a member of the CVE board for continued partnership.
Okay.
This was posted by Yosri Barsom, I think is how you say it, of the Center for Securing the Homeland, CSH. Basically, the government funding contract for Mitre was set to expire.
I've already got this, man. Listen, Brody, I like you, dude, but I wish you had chapters because I want to hear the undyed part. CVE program saved. How long is this video? 15. Fuck. 18. Shit. You know that you're on a niche part of YouTube when like in the top 10 videos you start getting into non-English. I don't mean any disrespect at all, but this membresía, CV, condominios, centro de viejas Ecuador. Estamos en vivo. Okay, so we are live with the Department of Balkan of National Services International with the something Membresa City. Huh. I can almost read that. But it's been forever. Let's check out this hang on. Oh my god, did it not click? It didn't. Oh, is it? Hang on. Wait.
One piece of obscure.
Wait, are they using security vulnerabilities in RGB devices? 'Cause that's actually kind of brilliant.
That has propped up.
Because I have smart lights. I don't like that I have smart lights. Oh, that makes sense.
The entirety of the.
I will say, though, for really complicated technical questions, the number of times I get an Indian video is insane. And every now and then you'll find an Indian guy who either speaks really poor English, or there was one dude, I think it was for like some arch related thing, that had a video that was in Punjab, but he had actual accurate like English subtitles. Like he subtitled his video. It wasn't auto, whatever.
Fan control.
I was a fan
and
of that. I was like,
basically
yo,
the
dude, I
RGB controlling
appreciate
the
you
screen.
doing that.
It's called when
You have no idea how much trouble you saved me
and
because I
this
prefer
driver
reading
is
anyway.
used in a lot of software.
So I've been trying to get NixOS working, and I kind of got into it with Alfred because in NixOS, it's a declarative language that you use to get your packages. So you have this thing, this configuration.nix. It's a file. You type the packages you want in, but you have certain channels. You can think of them like bundles of repositories, right? Where you pull the packages. And in the stable branch, which is technically the older branch, there is a package called nerd fonts. That's all the nerd fonts, 5 gigabytes of nerd fonts. But I needed to get Hellwall, which basically what it does is it sort of like takes a screenshot of your wallpaper, and then it comes up with a color palette based on the wallpaper and applies it to like your window manager and your waybar and all of that, so that it's always like a cool color match thing, right? But in order to get that, I had to have the unstable channel, and I could only have one or the other unless I used flakes. So I went with the unstable channel, but that broke my nerd fonts. Because it turns out that in the unstable channel, they're all listed individually unless you use a bit of code that searches for the attribute nerd font and download everything that has the word nerd font in it, which I didn't want to do. Because that means that somebody could create a package called nerd font that has the word nerd fonts in it. It will install it. Well, to be fair, it would have to be a font, but I just don't like that. So I just got JetBrains Mono and Source Code Pro, which are the two that I like to use. I mentioned it to Alfred, and he was like, bro, you should just get flakes, blah, blah, which he doesn't really know because he doesn't use Nix. And I'm like, man, I really don't want to do that because it's above my head. I don't know anything about it. I want to do one thing at a time. And he was like, well, it's better than a convoluted solution that you came up with, which was an extra line of code, basically, because it did say nerd fonts before. Now it says nerd fonts, JetBrains Mono, and nerd fonts, Source Code Pro. So yeah, fair enough. I guess you could call an extra line of code convoluted. He shared a 17-minute video. I got real aggravated with him. But even though I got aggravated with him, I watched the 17-minute video and broke my configuration on my PC, even though I followed it to the fucking T. Completely broke my configuration. So I had to delete the flake, go back to my old configuration. Thankfully, Nix lets you do that. And start hand reading documentation to get flakes implemented, which I was able to get flakes implemented kind of, but I don't understand enough about it. And yeah, never got the solution to my problem. Somehow I feel like spending 3 hours going down a rabbit hole about a capability of a particular operating system instead of just accepting that I have to list the 2 packages I want seems a little more convoluted than just listing the individual fonts that I want. But whatever, you know, I did it. I am going to have to learn about how to use Home Manager and flakes and stuff eventually. But in my mind, I was like, I just want to get a basic working system that has all the most essential things that I need going in that particular system, so that I can then leisurely begin implementing things like flakes, Home Manager, all the extra functionality, right? It would be like before you have your fonts installed, trying to make sure you have Yay installed so you can get Arch user repositories. It's not necessary. Unless there's some like really niche package you need, it's just not necessary. You can do everything with Pacman for the most part. You're fine. Yeah, I shouldn't have though, because I wasted a whole bunch of time, and now I'm streaming, so I'm not going to work on it today, and I still don't really have a working system. I mean, kind of do. I have to do everything in CLI right now because I don't have a volume controller. I don't have like I don't have any GUI things for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, volume, power on and power off. Like it's everything is command line. So when I shut down now. When I reboot, like in a terminal to do it for the time being. But it's, I don't know, it's just aggravating.
That controls hardware through Windows, but it's all breaking.
An old, basically unmaintained driver that is overly broad and abandoned by its creator, but coincidentally managed to be Windows signed, and the industry kept building on it. And
mostly broken UI that controls hardware that exists.
I've thought about this with
As
ASIO,
always, being pessimistic
but
paid off.
apparently ASIO
Kind of
is
optimistic
in the
look at
process
pessimism. It
of
creates like a
updating
circle, but
currently.
Anyway, the point is,
I don't know
pessimism
who,
worked here. And the
Steinberg,
reason
I
is
think.
Height started sending out emails.
So Steinberg
and The Verge
is the
made a
company that
published
started
story
virtual instruments,
about
VSTs in
WinRing
Windows,
0.
right?
And this
But they
happened
also
because
created
With
ASIO,
drivers being
which is an
flagged as a
audio
threat
input-output
by Windows
device,
Defender,
or
and it was
input-output
starting to
driver.
just break all the software
And
that
it reduces
leverages it.
latency on
And
Windows-based
again, this is
machines
stuff that's
to a
built
point where you
on
can actually record
15
instruments
plus
live.
year old code in
It
some
doesn't, you know,
instances.
fuck you
So
up.
This is the history
And
of a piece of
Linux
code
has had a
that
problem
most
with
of you
it
probably
because
didn't
it's
know
technically
exists.
closed source
And
software,
if you did,
which means
shut
that
up
it's
and
really,
watch
really
it.
weird to
Go
run on
have
Linux. You have to like
circle
use
the
Jack and
It's a
then
better story
Wine
this way.
and then a Windows
This is
version
the
of
story
ASIO,
Win
blah,
Ring
blah.
Before that,
But
this video
apparently there
brought
was
to you
some
by
news on the
iForge,
ASIO front
frozen
that they were planning to
A720
do
cooler.
like an
The
overhaul
A720 air
that
cooler
would
performed well on
bring
our testing
compatibility
last
to
year.
Linux,
A720 is a relatively high-end
possibly.
dual 140mm air cooler
which
with
is
7
good
inch
because as far as I know, nothing has changed with ASIO in like 15 years. Literally nothing has changed ASIO. I don't. Yeah, I will. Literally nothing has changed in like 15 years. I don't think there is any difference at all. I don't think there's been one significant change ever with ASIO since I first started using it in 2010. Not even kidding. The interface and everything is identical. There might be like individual implementations from certain workstations, like FL Studio might have an implementation, you know, Ableton might, Pro Tools might. Those implementations might have updates to them, but the foundational ASIO code base, as far as I know, hasn't changed at all.
by basically an abandoned piece of code from a then junior developer who has disowned it. That's an interesting story. And we need to start that story.
Why did he disown it? Did he just get bored with it?
Zero's creation brings us to its origins, where it was a library originally released in 2007 by Noriyuki.
Wow,
Miyazaki,
18 years
aka
old.
Hio Hio. And
Fuck with it.
he
Hio
regrets
Hio
it.
sounds
The
nice.
developer is best known for Crystal Disk Mark and Crystal Disk Info. According to the active GitHub repository, quote, WinRain 0 is a hardware access library for Windows, and, quote, WinRain 0 library allows x86-64 Windows applications to access I/O port, MSR, or model-specific register, and PCI, end quote. Basically, WinRain 0, the driver, is a unique open-source window into hardware. And over the years, it's become that XKCD comic manifestation.
Yeah,
All
I
developers
literally pictured this comic
identify their own loopholes for
when you mentioned
controlling
it.
hardware, like RGB LEDs and fans. If you've been part of a small team or a solo developer, or in some cases, even some of the huge hardware manufacturers in the space, and you want to develop something to control hardware, and in particular control things like fans or RGB LEDs to control it through Windows, then WinRain 0 has been the go-to option. Hio Hio announced the end of development in February 2010, stating in Japanese that
Wow.
WinRain 0 is essentially a library.
Okay, so it was created in 2007, but it was continually worked on until 2010.
That should not exist. I wanted to share the joy of low-level programming with as many developers as possible, so I developed and released WinRain 0 after fully understanding the various issues. But I had no choice but to accept that this is no longer acceptable in today's age, end quote. He repeated that same sentiment to us in an email reply, saying that, quote, I consider it a complete youthful indiscretion on my part not to have accepted the changing times, end quote. The final update from Hio Hio was WinRain 0 2.0.0 in July of 2010, at which point he intentionally removed almost all functionality, apologized again, and described the project, again in Japanese, as a, quote, big failure. And there's something really sad about that sentiment, because this is a solo developer who went out and built this project out of a love of working with lower level hardware and passing code through to it. So Hio Hio, if you're watching, we don't think you should feel that way about it. And actually, in one aspect, for better or worse, WinRain 0, the driver, was actually a huge success, because there's an entire industry that is propped up by it, and these are companies that are transacting hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue of computer hardware that have relied at some point
Laying back,
or
it's nice.
currently on WinRain 0.
I've gotten in a bad habit of this
Maybe
because
that's
my chair will
why
let.
Hio Hio feels like it was a big failure,
Ah,
because there's so much reliance on it, and because the developer himself views the software as a youthful indiscretion. Given what WinRAR 0 is, a method of low-level access to hardware, it makes sense that HioHio has distanced himself from the project so much, especially since he's currently collaborating with Microsoft. The releases of Windows Vista in 2007 and Windows 7 in 2009 made it increasingly clear that Microsoft is no longer in the business of just letting anybody f around with this stuff. Windows was moving away from low-level programming. The idea of old-school, unrestricted memory access is scandalous today. As Martin Malik of Hardware Info stated to The Verge, quote, "Since the driver has access and doesn't restrict the range, it can read or change other processes, secrets in memory, or protected kernel registers. This is very dangerous," end quote. And as HioHio stated when closing WinRAR 0 development 15 years ago, quote, "If you think about why the OS restricts access to I/O ports, physical memory, MSR, etc., and why signing kernel mode drivers is mandatory since Vista 64,
Oh, I'm
you'll
on Black Shard.
understand,"
Whoops.
end quote. We don't want to get into the weeds too much here, but kernel mode is the alternative to user mode. We'll let my good friend Wendell explain.
It's like Ring 0, Ring 1. What is the kernel? I've heard of, well, it's like the Linux kernel, but Windows has a kernel too. So the kernel is responsible for like your management of your system. So process management, memory management, hardware abstraction, security isolation, and system calls, which is like a programmer's calls, like the kernel is going to provide.
Yeah, I have noticed the change in that though, but you're not wrong. The number of people I've seen overclock $1,500 graphics cards into oblivion where they just fucking melt their system in the name of performance is ridiculous. But I have noticed a changing trend where a lot of people don't do that. I've never done, well, I'm not going to say I've never overclocked a system, but like I don't overclock this system. It does what it needs to do. I don't need to get crazy with it. It's fine. You know what I mean? But there was sort of an obsession with it for a hot minute. I remember when I was researching parts to build this computer, it was literally everywhere. Everybody's like, "Oh, you can do this crazy thing or that crazy thing," and even with stuff like getting rid of bloatware in Windows 11, trusting that to some kind of batch script that eliminates things that could potentially cause very serious issues down the line is not very smart. A better plan is to just get an IoT version of Windows 11 that doesn't come with all the excess stuff, but that is supported, right? That is its own channel supported by Microsoft. No, I know. I'm just saying that there was a laissez-faire attitude toward the damage that people was doing physically to their machine. And that laissez-faire, that oh God, the word I'm trying to look for. Give me a second. The nonchalance with which they risked their machines wasn't unique to just the hardware, but also to the software. That maybe goes back further. So I overclocked a Windows 95 machine once in 2002, I think, with my dad actually. But also in the Windows XP days, there were a lot of alternate window managers that you could get once upon a time. I can't remember the names of them, but they were literally drop-in replacements for Explorer. Dude, you were trusting some shady website to get really, really, really deep control of your machine in order to make it look cool. Looking back on it, I shouldn't have done all that, say. I guess you're... Oh, that's interesting. I never actually thought about it that way. I never thought about it that way. Well, shit, all right, man. I'm going to overclock my my PC to the moon. If the stream melts. So then give me an example where gamers are doing things quickly and easily that would be a security vulnerability, because then I can't think of one. Other than hacks, like game bots and stuff, I can't think of anything. Are we talking about like kernel level anti-cheat maybe? I have never done that, and I didn't know people did do that. Why are they turning off UAC and core isolation? What benefit does that have? Not having to click yes on the pop-up? The UAC thing, I mean. Because honestly, user account control is a thing I'm so used to with Linux, I don't even notice it. Like I run OBS as administrator, but the reason why I run it as administrator is because it's a portable build. It only works that way, unfortunately. But it still asks me every time I haven't disabled user account control. It's like using sudo on a Linux machine is the way I think of it. Although I think it's technically more akin to using sudo su. But still. I actually don't know what it looks like under the hood.
This programmer's interface, it's like
yeah, I just don't see what the benefit is of doing either of those things. I've never seen anything about either one when it comes to gamer stuff. Yeah, I don't know that that would be a thing unique to gamers, though. Not trying to argue or be dismissive, just saying. People are very lazy. Laziness in general is responsible for a lot of that. The most obvious example, of course, is really weak passwords. But I mean, I've used weak passwords before. You know, I use a 4-number PIN for my Windows machine, but there's nothing on here. I'm not too... Well, there is now, actually, because I filed my taxes. I might need to change that. I got to move that tax paperwork somewhere else. Because I totally showed like my adjusted gross income and stuff on stream one time. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I had to delete, I had to fucking nuke an entire stream because of it. That was me being an idiot though, and it was because I was looking for something in the downloads that started with the number 2. And the first thing alphabetically was 20, which happened to be my 2022 taxes. And because I had preview enabled, it previewed my taxes, gave my social security number, first and last name, full address, everything. Also, same in Linux, is it not? Interesting. I would be curious what that looks like under the hood in Linux. Because I often use the move command to rename stuff. You know, like if I have a file called A, but I want it to be called B, I'll do like mv-iab. And then A gets moved to B. But I don't know what that actually looks like under the hood. I don't know exactly what's going on under the hood. That is interesting. Wait, what is this? Is this a third game? Oh, it just came out. Holy shit. No, yeah. I'm curious what it looks like under the hood. Because I definitely move things to and from my home folder on Linux using the move command. And I wonder if it's the same. For instance, scale. Scale is a big one. Or like a lot of default configs are like in Etsy somewhere. So you'll have like an Etsy/hyper, which is for Hyperland. And it will have a default config.conf, right? And then you would use that move command to move it into home.config/hyper, which would be a local instance of that configuration. I don't think Hyperland specifically does that. I feel like Waybar does. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know it was a remaster. But I've definitely moved back and forth between those two. And I mean, to do it, you have to have super user privileges though. Which I will tell you right now, the biggest annoying thing I come across, and I know there's a way to do it in Vim, but I don't know precisely how to. So if I use Vim to edit a file that is outside of my home folder and it needs administrative privileges, I still have the privilege of opening and reading the file, but not editing it. And that actually annoys me. And the reason is because I'll go to open something to edit it, go to save my changes, don't have permission to save changes. And so now I could have, the other night I did like, I don't know, 30 or 40 lines and couldn't save it because I was an idiot. And the way registers work in Vim, it was a pain in the ass to paste it to a different instance. So I was looking for a way, and I know that you can use bang. So if you use bang, it'll run a shell command. So I used bang sudo -s and my password, hoping that it would give me super user privileges over the file I had edited to save it, but it wouldn't. So instead, I had to like set it up to be copied to the clipboard and then from the clipboard to another instance of Vim, which is the most jank hack way of just typing something. Why the fuck couldn't a computer open up Notepad? What did you do? What did you guys do that broke Notepad? Like, it would take work to break Notepad, man. Damn. What is TextPad? Oh, it's just some, okay, yeah, I looked it up. It's just some random text editor. Although, to be fair, what it kind of reminds me of, it totally reminds me of HTML edit back in the day. This is how I remember HTML edit looking. I used to love HTML edit. I used to love it. Because of how simple it was. It was so incredibly simple. So if you needed to quickly edit HTML, CSS, XML, whatever, I never used it for anything more advanced than that, but I used the shit out of it. And now I can't even find the original HTML edit Windows XP. No, see, this is why you can't find it, because this isn't it either. Although this is close. This is close. HTML doc edit. Interesting. Yeah, this isn't it though. This must be based on it because I was using it in 2004 to 2006. I definitely... Hang on. HTML editor from Windows XP called simply HTML edit. There was no Ooh. Dude, I'm telling you, there was. I'm gonna murder it. Dude, I'm getting it's the Berenstain Bears all over again. I promise you there was. I've gone down this rabbit hole before. There was an HTML editor called simply HTML Edit. It was a portable bit of software. It did not have an installer. It was freeware. It wasn't open source. And it actually got popular around like 2006 because they released a paid for only version. So it was freeware. And afterward, you could still use all the same stuff you could do in the original freeware version, but as things updated, it was locked behind this paid for version that I think was like $30 at the time. It was just, it wasn't as good as something like Dreamweaver. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a fully fledged, but what it was really, really good for was if you needed, it was like Notepad, but for HTML, CSS, and XML. So in instances where you don't want to open up like Word, you just want to open up Notepad to make a note or whatever, that's what HTML was for, but for HTML and CSS and XML. And I fucked with it, dude. I loved it because it was so incredibly simple, and it reminds me a lot of like Sublime Text, kind of similar. And I used it all the time. Anytime I needed to make a quick change to something, which I used to do a bunch of HTML stuff. I don't do that anymore. I like doing HTML stuff because you actually had a visual thing that would change in response to what you did instantly. And I started in HTML4, so a lot of the stuff that you would use CSS for today, you didn't have to then. And then I remember learning CSS way before everybody else. So when they were teaching HTML4 in school, I was using CSS, and my teacher called on and was like, hey, you want to teach the other kids, blah, blah, blah. Back when I actually knew what the fuck I was doing on a computer. I apparently don't anymore. I struggle to learn new computer things now way, way more than I did when I was a kid. That makes sense, yeah. That makes perfect sense. It was just taking advantage of something that already existed. There used to be a really good note-taking software for Firefox back in the day. It was based on trees with bullet points and tags. And it was so good, but I can't remember now what the fuck it was called. Technically, it was an extension that also was free, and then what ruined it was they made it paid only to do all the things that you could have done for free previously. I thought about remaking it, honestly, because it was just bullets. It was a note-taking app with just bullets. So you'd have a title, a subtitle, and then you'd have bullets, sort of like an org document. If you've ever used an org document in Emacs, very similar. But it didn't have all the complexity of something like Emacs. It was very simple, very straightforward, and there were multiple ways to tag things. So it made the editor almost three-dimensional. So instead of just being a tree where you have this branch off somewhere, you could sort of create like a symlink to the exact same thing elsewhere. So you could link within the document across all these different trees so that you could always find relevant information, whatever you're working on. I can't remember what the fuck it was called. It was just web tech. That's actually what made me think of it. It was just web tech. That's all it was. It was some JavaScript, I imagine. God, I can't remember what it was called. Hang on. I'm going to go into extensions on Brave and see if the paid version still exists. Web store. I'm just going to use the word write. It's not that. Everything's taken over by AI. Okay. Hang on. I'm just looking to see. It probably died because they went paid only for an extension. And then I noticed it disappeared, which was a bummer because when it first came out, it was so good. It was so fucking good. I used it all the time for notes. It was the best note-taking app I had ever used. And then years later, I discovered org, and I'm like, oh, it's the same. It's literally like a simplified org document. And yeah, I can't find it now, which is such a bummer. Yeah, oh well. I don't know. I've not been as consistent lately, but also Fridays are sometimes dead. I've noticed that a couple times. It is Good Friday today. That might be part of it. But no, the stream has slowly been dying. I don't want it to die, but it has been. And a lot of that is just my inconsistency, I think. I've noticed that though. I've been thinking about taking a break of like 2 weeks and then coming back to it, because I got a lot of shit going on in real life. It feels like it hasn't stopped. It's making it hard to stream consistently. Oh. Also, it's messing with my mood, and it's not you guys' fault. My mood has been really bad lately, but there's just so much stuff keeps going wrong, and it's getting tired. It's more of a frustration with constantly having to put out fires. It's how it feels. Like I went to go file my taxes. My W-2 was incorrect. They had the wrong name. Yeah, for some reason when I I don't know, that's another topic. But they had my wrong name on the W-2. So I had to file for an extension and get a corrected W-2, and then I get a corrected W-2, and they didn't fix the address. I literally used Snippet to grab an image of my W-2, highlighted in red what was wrong, and put a note next to it, typed, mind you, not like handwriting, that said, this is incorrect, colon, or no, it was, this is incorrect, comma, new line, it should be, colon, and it had my full name and my full address formatted exactly the way it was supposed to be formatted. And I mentioned in the email, so I mentioned it twice, hey, name should be this, address should be this. I get the updated one, and the address is wrong. I'm still going to file my taxes. I'm going to file my taxes with the old address. But it's like, dudes, what do you mean? What do you mean? Really? How bad are you at your job that you can't read 3 lines? Jesus Christ. It's so, I mean, it's unbelievably dumb. But it's small things like that. It's been happening a lot here lately, and I'm not really sure why. Part of it is I'm a little more cantankerous. Like, I feel more, I don't want to use the word vulnerable. I feel more quick to temper here lately because so much stuff is going on, and stuff compounds as a result. So I've got to get over that. Dude, trust me. Trust me. I spoke to the Social Security Administration, I spoke to Intuit, and I spoke to the IRS. And every single one gave me different information. Intuit straight up, okay, Intuit online said it should be okay, just correct your name and your address because they use your Social Security number, birthday, and adjusted gross income to determine who you are. It will be fine. Or no, they said that, I'm getting it backwards. The internet said, while they use your Social Security, adjusted gross income, and birth date to determine who you are, your name still has to match. But I didn't want to trust the online thing, so I called Intuit, TurboTax. Hey, does my name have to match? No, it doesn't have to match. You can go ahead and file your taxes with the wrong name. And the lady, by the way, the lady wasn't like, oh, let me research that for you. She was like, yeah, you can probably file your, that was the response I got. And I'm like, I am not trusting some lady who ums and ahs for, 30 seconds and gives me an answer without looking it up. So I call the IRS and they're like, yeah, Intuit is wrong. You have to have your full correct name on it. It has to have your full correct name. Otherwise, it could get flagged as fraud. You're creating a person named Clayton and you're filing taxes for them. That could be fraud. Now, at the end of that, we'll find out, oh, this is not fraud. This was a mistake. But you don't want to deal with any of that. You don't want to have any issues. So what you need to do is, if your employer won't update your information, you need to call the Social Security Administration. So what do? I call the Social Security Administration. Hey, Social Security Administration. They're like, sorry, we can't do anything for you. We can't change any of your information. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, we see that your information is wrong, but we can't fix it. Your employer has to. And I'm like, wait. My employer has the power to change my first and last name on Social Security related documents with the government, but the person themselves doesn't have that power? What? So then I send the convoluted email to them and call them and I say, this is what you need to do with an explicit note. And they fuck it up again. Well, the reason why I use a tax preparer is because with TurboTax, it will hunt down all of my documents for me. So when I was doing a lot of investments, like capital gains related stuff, it would automatically pull those documents for me, plus my adjusted gross income from the previous year, plus my information from the employer, and I'd get my taxes done in a half hour. And I didn't pay for federal, I would pay for state. But it was so quick. Oh, yeah. No, I don't use a paid preparer, but I ran into a situation that that website couldn't help me with. When I looked up the problem on the website, it was operating under the assumption that A, I was a woman, that B, I was previously married, and that C, I had my name legally changed. Everything was like, oh, you've had your last name legally changed. No, they have straight up the wrong name. This is not, I am not Clayton. Clayton is not my name. Clayton, for those of you who don't know, is my middle fucking name. They have it as my first. Adam, which is my first name, they had as my middle initial. So I was Clayton A, which is kind of funny because my dad was named Clay and his dad's name was Clay and his dad's name was Clay. My dad was Clay the Third. Not kidding. I was the first non-Clay boy in the family, which is so fucking funny to me. But anyway, yeah, that was a gigantic fucking nightmare, dude. It was fucking terrible. And it's always shit like that. It's always like, oh, great, something else. All right, let's go. So I've been real sporadic with stream and stuff. Sometimes it's because I really do have other things to do. But sometimes it's just like, man, this is the first truly free day I've had in like a week. I'm going to take off. That's what I did yesterday. I was just like, fuck it. Nothing is on fire right now. I'm going to take the day off and I'm just going to sit at my computer. I'm going to play the guitar all day. I'm going to watch stupid movies. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing anything important. I'm taking the day off. Is literally why I took yesterday off. I was just like, fuck it. Let's go. I just didn't want to have to deal with the possibility that it wasn't fine. You know, because you have up to 7 years to be audited. So in 2032, they might decide to flag it for fraud. And now I'm going to have to pull all my documents from 2025. It's easy. Well, presumably it's easier to get your employer to do their job, but apparently not. But I will say they are inept, man. Like, I'm sorry, but they are. Like, if you guys are watching this right now, you got to get your shit together. Give me like a 50% pay raise. I will come do it. I will come work at your office. You won't have to worry about this ever again. Let me do the paperwork instead of like getting in fist fights every weekend. It will be done. You won't have to worry about it. Everybody's name will be correct. Everybody's address will be correct. Everybody will get a paycheck when they're supposed to get a paycheck. I'll double check all the numbers and blah, blah, blah. I'll work with whoever your CPA or whatever is, and I'll make sure shit actually gets done. Yeah, I don't have any credit, but I know what you mean. I just don't want to risk it. See, that's exactly it. I just didn't want to risk it. Like, a big part of me did. I actually went through almost my entire filing process with the wrong name and decided against it. And you know what decided me against it? What made me actually change my tune was when I spoke to somebody at Intuit and they said it was fine. I have never had someone assure me that it was okay and me disagree with them so quickly. If you had heard this woman on the phone, you would have been like, what the fuck? She obviously had no fucking clue. I mean, not even an inkling, dude. She had no idea. She had no idea what the fuck she was talking about. No offense, but she should probably be fired. They had one of those survey things. I just straight ignored it. I wanted real bad to burn her down, but I don't know her. I don't know her life. Maybe she's having a bad day. Maybe she wants me to go to jail for tax fraud. I don't fucking know, you know? But that was actually the reason. As soon as I spoke to her on the phone, I'm like, oh, she's got no fucking idea. She has no idea at all. She's totally clueless. She straight up lied to me on the phone. Because I'm not stupid. I've dealt with a lot of narcissists and psychopaths and stuff. I'm not saying she was either of those things. But one thing they have in common is they both like to lie a lot. They make shit up. And they're generally pretty good at it. And you start to learn, like, when people are just making shit up. And so I recognized immediately. I'm like, oh, she's full of shit. I'm not trusting this lady who obviously is just making shit up on the phone, that I'm okay. If she had actually been professional and looked it up and gave me sound information, I probably would have just filed my taxes without worrying about it. But yeah. Yeah, if in trouble, call the IRS not once but twice. Yeah. No, so I called TurboTax support and they connected me with someone who was supposed to be a tax preparer because there was like this long convoluted automated thing. Now, I didn't pay for a tax preparer through the whole thing. But here's the thing. She sounded wholly unqualified. And if she was unqualified, what she should have done was forwarded me to someone who is qualified. If she had just said, oh, you need to contact the IRS about that, we're not sure, that would have been fine. But she didn't. She instead made shit up. So I contacted the IRS for advice. And the IRS said, actually, this is not fine. He said, you'll probably get your return if you have a return. But you honestly need to get this corrected. You need to go through your employer and get it corrected. And so I filed for an extension. So it turns out, though, what's interesting was I went through all this stress. And then when I looked it up, I found out that my state, I don't know if your state has this, we have until November 5th. State of Kentucky has until November 5th. I think Tennessee and Georgia, West Virginia, Virginia all do too, because of Hurricane Helene. It destroyed so many lives. They're giving you 6 months. Well, it's a W-2. I don't think I've ever had a W-4 in my whole life. I'm going to do some research here. W-2 is issued by employers annually to report wages and taxes withheld for tax filing, while a W-4 is completed by employees to determine how, okay, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so what I submitted was a W-4 when I did my taxes. What they submitted was a W-2. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's same ballpark. They definitely deserve to get hit with that, dude. There's no reason that they couldn't, because you have to understand, I've worked with them since at least 2022. I think it was late 2021 when I started work there. Right. So I'm going on year 4 this November, I believe. And it's so funny to me because they have had my correct first name, my correct middle name, my correct last name, my correct social, and my correct address. Even after I did the address change, I updated my address. They got that correct. So they had my correct information, but state legislation changed. It turns out you cannot make someone who is supposed to be a wage employee a contract employee so you can get out of paying overtime, which is what they were doing. They had to make us wage employees, which means I technically get paid less now, even though my paycheck is more, which is interesting. So what ended up happening was they had to re-input our information. Well, they hired this guy And I get the impression that the guy thinks he's like really intelligent and professional, but he gets shit wrong all the time. He fails a lot. He's not so great. He's a real ass about stuff. He was a real ass right until I called him out on fucking it up. I'm pretty sure it was him who did it. I'm pretty sure he was the one that had to update the names and addresses in the system when they changed the way the pay worked, and then he forwarded that information to a CPA most likely, because the CPA doesn't know us, right? For actual accounting, and I think he fucked up. Damn, dude, that's crazy. So did you work for the railroad? Because that's incredibly good money. There's a guy I work with. This is so dumb. I had to get onto him about this. So, dude, this will never benefit me either. Every time I learn about something and like it's a good opportunity and I help someone with it, they end up doing like way better than me. I just have piss poor luck or poor decision making. I don't know what it is. So for instance, I really rode my friend Jordan's ass about like going to school and changing jobs and blah, blah, blah. And now he makes like almost 10K more than me a year, which is fucking crazy. He deserves it, but man, it hurts. I could really use 10K a year, right? Well, I got another guy. He's a coworker of mine. He's very young. He's like maybe 21, 22 years old. His dad works for the fucking coal plant. And for those of you that don't know, coal plants in Kentucky are career jobs. It's like the railroad. You get paid a ridiculous sum of money to work there. You get all the benefits you could ever possibly imagine, all the vacation time, sick leave, insurance, all of it. And you will regularly move up the ranks the longer you work there. So if you start in your mid-20s and you work until your 60s, you can actually retire with a pension and have Social Security and everything. Like, it is a good career move if you're a tradesperson as opposed to a college person, right? College people can get really killer jobs there too, especially like I think it's geology or something like that, something related to that, chemistry maybe. And he's like, yeah, man, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. You're an idiot is what you are. If your dad can get you a job there, that is a career. That is a career. You continue working here, you're going to make $15 an hour 10 years from now, having people try to beat the shit out of you. You're nuts. Go work at the coal plant, dummy. Just before 5 years to qualify for railroad. No shit. Oh, that's nice. Well, the good thing about railroad is if you get married, right, and you pass away, whoever you get married to will qualify for your railroad retirement. They will get your money. Railroads retirement plans are amazing. So if down the line you get married and then you pass away, your retirement benefits will go to them. So you will be ensuring that your significant other is taken care of in their old age. That's one thing I really love about railroad. My mom is able to survive because her ex-husband was a railroad man, like most of his life. I considered going to work for the railroad, but I don't know how to go about it. I think I would need to study to be an electrician or something. My mom has had a much better time with the railroad stuff than the Social Security stuff, I think. But I think it's because Social Security is basically a means by which certain entities are able to gamble with wealth they don't actually have. I'm not going to get any Social Security benefits, even though I've paid in most of my life. There's no chance. We're going to have an increasingly aging population because we have like a 1.62 birth rate, I think. In the US, you need a 2.1, which means we're going to end up in a situation where we're going to have a legion of oldies that are drawing retirement benefits from the government. So in another 30 years, which will be a little less, it'll be 23 years. Let me see. 30 minus 2, 28. In another 28 years, I probably won't get any Social Security benefits. That's assuming I'm still around. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's weird in my mom's case because where it's she doesn't get his social security, she gets a portion of his railroad benefits, and technically this is the weird thing. He had two wives, if I remember correctly, and they both are splitting his railroad retirement benefits. My mom being one and the other person being the other, if I remember correctly. But my mom makes like an extra like $1,400 a month or something from it. I need to talk to her about it. I'm not entirely sure how that worked, but it helps her a lot. She is able to live retired comfortably. It's just unfortunate that as soon as she retires, inflation absolutely explodes. And so all the things she wanted to do, she can't do. And it bothers me because I can't help her with any of it. Inflation's kicking my ass too. I made a lot of poor decisions in my early 20s. It sucks. Here I am. What can I do about it? You know, it's kind of too late now. My t-shirt's on the ground. I look like a slob. Got a t-shirt. I spilled shit on me. Not shit, but I think it was like salsa or something I was eating. I was like, fuck. So I just threw it on the floor. I meant to put that in the basket in the kitchen. I just forgot. In the kitchen, in the bathroom. Yeah, I guess I'm going to get off here in a minute. It might be. It's either that or the rest of the monster. Oh, no, it's not. It's a car shirt. It's a 06 shirt. It doesn't actually look bad at all on camera. It looks fine. But I promise you, if you looked at it, you'd be like, yeah, that needs cleaned. So that's one reason why I wear black a lot on stream. One of the reasons why I wear black a lot, like I have other color shirts, chat. I don't just have black shirts. The reason why I like to wear these shirts is because A, it creates contrast because the background is light, but B, unless there's something like really bad on it, you can't see it. If I spill like a big bunch of something, you'll notice, but otherwise they look fine. So if moments before I get on stream, I like spill coffee on my shirt or something, you guys would never know. You'd have no idea. Which is perfect, because usually right before I start stream, what do? Have a cup of coffee. Almost every single time. That's interesting. I like black. Black is probably my favorite color, actually. To be fair, most of my shirts are gray, though. But I don't like them as much as my black shirts. That's interesting. But I do. I have a lot of gray shirts. I use them for work. Yeah. Yeah. I like color shirts too. I have got a couple of blue shirts I really like. I have a red shirt that I really like. When I wear button-ups, especially when I wear button-ups, if I wear button-up shirts, I really like blue and I really like burgundy. So back when I was young, I wore a burgundy or like a crimson button-up all the time. It was very nice. I loved that shirt. I still have it somewhere. I don't think I could fit in it though. I have some white clothes, but very few. Because they stain too easy. They usually don't last very long. I like neutral colors though. So I like white, gray, black. Brown, some cases. Just not for clothes. I love brown, the color. I just don't like it for clothes. Something, I don't know. Also avoid orange, but that's because you look vaguely like a prisoner when you wear orange. Also, I don't like to wear blue shirts out. The reason for that is because every time, brown is great, I think, for interior decor. So wood tone and gold, a little bit of burgundy. Oh, it's a beautiful combination. Clothes, no. No, I don't wear brown clothes. Don't wear brown shoes. Nothing like that. Khaki is probably about as close as I get there. I do wear khakis. But what was I going to say? Oh, I don't wear blue shirts out because the number of times I've gone to Walmart in a blue shirt and got stopped by a random customer who needed help. So I finally gave up on wearing blue shirts out, which is really, really funny. You guys would be amazed. The number of times I have been stopped. I wore a green shirt to a Dollar Tree one time and got stopped too. I apparently just have that vibe. I have that stock boy vibe, apparently. I didn't know. Yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah. So for me, it's more sunlight. Like colors do help. Having lighter colors do help. And I really like high contrast. So like me wearing black in a background that's really light is nice. I actually like that. And I do actually enjoy the darkness. The problem is, especially coming out the other end of winter, is I'm sick of it. I am so sick of it. I am so thankful for sunlight. Dude, I did not. I struggled really fucking hard this winter. It has been bad. My season is probably the worst. One of the worst periods of seasonal affective disorder I've ever had. Legitimately. Like, it still is negatively impacting me. I am not over it yet. I dropped a whole bunch of stuff, sorry. But it really, really, really bad. I had a hard time. That's smart, yeah. A big part of my problem is sleep. So the winter messes with my sleep. It makes it so that I stay up way later than I need to, and I sleep in way later than I need to. And then I get up and I stream, and then I spend too much time on here, and it's nightfall now, and it's like, fuck. So I've used my whole day, you know? What I'm going to try and do, the weather is finally getting there, is I'm going to start going for hikes again. I need to buy a pair of shoes. And I'm going to start going for like 5-mile hikes, 10-mile hikes, 3 or 4 times a week. That's really interesting too, because you're on the spectrum, but you like lights? You like the overhead lights? If you just got the dual ping, you're like an hour late, dude. That's interesting. That is unique. A lot of people I know on the spectrum, they don't do overheads, they do lamps. And what's interesting is I don't do overheads. I do lamps. I'm not on the spectrum. It's fine. I'm not on the spectrum, but it's a thing. Like, I do not like overhead. That's interesting. Yeah, we're like total polar opposites. Yeah, I got a lamp there, and I use the ring light as a lamp, and I use my RGB as a lamp. Did people just now get my ping? Is Discord broken? What the fuck happened? Normally, people with autism prefer lamps over overhead lights, and I prefer lamps over overheads, but I'm not on the spectrum. Oh, okay. Also, though, to be fair, I must have, there probably is some condition, because some of you know that I'm like really, really hypersensitive to sound. I hear things all the time. It could be schizophrenia, but I think I just have really sensitive hearing. But I also have light sensitivity, and I, not as well as I used to, but I can see pretty well at night. There was an episode one time where I was like driving my roommate at nighttime in like a little Chevy Cavalier with the lights off and didn't notice. And he was just like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? We're going home. What do you mean? What am I doing? It's like, turn your fucking lights on. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. But I saw fine. Like, middle of the night. No issues. I definitely can drive without lights on in the middle of the night, unless I'm way back in the woods. Because the ambient light is definitely more than enough for me to see. He killed all the Jarls of Windhelm? Of Skyrim? Of Tamriel? Of Morrowind? Leave the Jarls alone. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad. I've been doing a lot of music production in my spare time. Like a lot. Like a ridiculous amount. A lot of it here lately has just been tweaking. Getting instruments to sound the way that I want to, arranging things the way I want them to be, taking demo recordings of stuff. So oftentimes if I'm like inspired by something, I'll record it on the fly, and I don't give a shit if it sounds bad, because I know that I can re-record it and make it sound good. So I've been fine-tuning like a lot of guitar tones and re-recording stuff to clean it up. And in so doing, I end up finding like, motifs or sections that are different that can be changed that sound interesting. So before I got on stream today, there was like, there's one particular section in a song I've been working on, and I found, God, like 6 different ways that I could play this particular chorus. And I was just tracking them all. They can't go together. I mean, some of them kind of can, but it's literally so I can A/B them and see which one I like the most. That's nice, dude. I'm glad you're making money. You deserve it. You do. People deserve to make an income from the things they love, and not many people do, sadly. It's the way it works. I'm going to get some tea. I'll be right back, chat. Ugh. I'm heckin' thirsty. It's in the microwave. Oh, I thought about doing that. Yeah. I was talking to Alfred about it. The problem is having enough money to do it. But I've wanted to travel for a really, really long time. And my mom wanted to do this thing. She literally was like, when I retire, I'm going to buy a nice van. I'm going to renovate it so that I can travel around, van life type shit. Only mom's not really in the social media space. So it's not like the glamping type stuff. She was inspired by a movie called Nomad. And I thought, fuck, that actually would be very cool. I would love to do something similar because I work a job where I'm off 5 days a week. So if I bought a van, I actually found a church van for like $3,500 with less than 100,000 miles on it. I thought about buying it. And then I would renovate that. I would winterize that. And I would start streaming trips to cool places around where I live. So I could like take you guys up to Natural Arch, go hiking the Appalachians. I could show you what the Appalachian Trail actually looks like. We could go to the Mothman Museum in West Virginia and talk about cryptids, and then take you guys way out in the woods in the middle of the night so you get to know what the Appalachian wilderness actually is like. I could take you guys to Cumberland Falls. I could take you to Eagle Falls. I could take you to the Brown Hotel in Louisville, which is a famous hotel. Like there's cool places within like 2.5 days of where I live. A lot of cool places. And so it wouldn't have to be all the time. I probably wouldn't do it every week. But do it enough that we could like take a break from video games and go see cool shit. And I don't need a lot to be comfortable. Yeah, you're good. Have a good night, man. Smart. Good. Happy Good Friday, dude. Have a good night. Take it easy. I'm not going to be on too much longer anyway. I mean, I've been here for a hot minute, but yeah, I just think that would be fun. I think that would be a fun thing to do. Find some cool places. Go on cool trips. In order to stream it, I would have to get a different mobile plan probably. Or I could pay for the unlimited roaming from Starlink, which is like $137 a month. But then I could reasonably stream anywhere. Between cell service and that, I'd be fine. Oh, I know. Well, so here's the thing, like if you go into it planning to like build a fall, it's probably not going to happen. I'm just not that interesting of a person. I have very, very niche interests, which it makes it hard to find people that have similar interests to me. And that's a big deal. That makes it really hard. It makes it easy to keep followers. Like, so when people show up and they like you, they stay. Generally, they're around for like years. But it makes it really hard to find new people because they're like, what do you mean you're not driving a flying car in China? I show speed. Well, what I'm saying is I probably should not go into it thinking I'm going to build some kind of a following. But dude, if somehow I did manage to make money off of doing that, we would take further and further and further trips. I would love to head west. I'd love to take you guys to like Denver, Colorado, up into Montana, show you the Pacific Northwest. You know, go to like Northern California and see if my fat ass can learn to surf. Like, there's a lot of really good content out there. Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. There is so much stuff. It opens up so much stuff you can do. Um, but it's not that it's really expensive, but the first time your entire world in a van breaks down in like Montana, you realize like I'm kind of fucked. So you have to slowly build up to further and further excursions. It's the only way I could think of that it would be possible to do because you want to have enough savings that you can protect yourself should something happen. So I would at least want full coverage and AAA. Mind you, if I have full coverage and AAA, then if something happens to the vehicle, I'm okay. I can at least get a car and drive back here. And if I don't have the apartment anymore, I could go to mom's. She'd let me sleep in the spare bedroom. She'd be fine with that. That wouldn't, that wouldn't be an issue. I would fucking love to do that because I don't know if it's seasonal affective disorder or what. I know it contributed, but this winter has sucked. And I think a big part of it is I know the breakup was a long time ago, but I'm starting to realize I don't really have anything to look forward to. I'm not trying to be a sad Sally or be depressing, but I don't have the best job in the world. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have any real long-term plans. Nothing that I'm excited about anyway. It's not like it was before where it's like, oh man, if I follow down this trajectory, you're talking about like getting a better job and getting married and having kids and like all the things that most reasonable adults at least consider, right? And so one thing that I've really started to realize is that I spend too much time looking at screens. I spent entirely too much time on my phone, on my laptop, on this computer, and it doesn't matter whether I'm playing games or not. Like recording music is fine, streaming is fine for the most part, but God, when I'm not doing that, I'm watching movies on a fucking screen. I'm scrolling through memes on a screen. I'm ordering stuff on Amazon on a screen. It's like from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, I probably spend at least 8 hours looking at a screen every day. And I don't want something to happen. Like I get in a car accident when I'm like 39 and I die and I realize my whole life I've been sitting in front of screens. My ancestors were traveling on foot through the Carpathian Mountains. Me, I was on Facebook. Take that, ancestors. You know what I mean? Fuck that, dude. I want to actually do things. It doesn't have to be some grand adventure, but fuck, do something that isn't staring at a screen. Like, it's starting to get really important to me that I don't just do that for the rest of my life. So we talked about it a little bit on stream, and the more I thought about it, the more I was like, fuck, I think he's got a point. Like, it's really easy to be dismissive and point out all the ways it could go bad, and it probably will go bad, but you got to take the risk. Let me actually go get my tea. It's heated up, and then I'll watch it. I couldn't rig up this streaming setup in a van. It's too much power. But I don't need a 3090 to stream. I could go and blow like 1500 maybe on a decent gaming laptop. and just take a spare monitor. And between like the spare monitor, the laptop, an audio interface, a hard drive, I could take the microphone, probably rig it up differently. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's totally reasonable. You just minimize your setup, right? You do a lot more streaming on your phone, etc. Hang on, let me see if I can get this going. But dude, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, fuck, I would actually love to do that. The problem is I don't really have I only have about 2K in the bank right now. That's not enough to get a van. So mom, if you're watching, if you want to loan me a couple K so I can buy a van and renovate it, fucking, that'd be a great birthday present. It's kind of unrealistic. I don't expect you to do that, but yeah, there's just so many. I'd love to go to Virginia Beach. I used to live there when I was a kid. Go stick my feet in the sand for a day. Try on a couple bikinis, you know? Bro, when I first heard that, I 100% expected it to be Angry German. I didn't think it was going to be Bjork. In fact, when I first started hearing it, I'm like, no, they did not insert the Angry German. They didn't. They didn't. To be fair, it's Bjork. 99 boss red balloons. Dude, I've been doing similar stuff lately. I totally thought this video was something different than it was. I wasn't thinking Euro Truck Simulator, but... What is this song that dun 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 dun? That's from Bad Boys, I think. Or The Rock? This song is from The Rock. Hang on. The Rock movie theme song, right? I think it is. I'm telling you. I'm telling you that bum 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 bum. Told you. Dun 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 dun. I fucking knew I wasn't imagining it. It's a different key. It's a different key, but it's like the same progression. Oh, that makes sense. Do you play a bus simulator? I kind of burned myself out on Schedule 1 because the workers became very difficult to manage. They kept messing stuff up. I'll get back into it eventually. Just like I need to get back to my car build in Car Mechanic Simulator. I annoyed the shit out of my mom because I played so much Car Mechanic Simulator for so long. So the problem for me was to break up the monotony, I needed to organize my workers. So I took the barn and I broke it up into 4 quadrants. I had a packing quadrant, I had a chemistry quadrant, I had a plant quadrant, and I'm in the process of working on the amphetamine production corner, right? So 4 corners. And it was organized beautifully, dude. Like, so solid. 2 blocks, 2 botanists, right? 16 pots for growth. Then I had 2 blocks, 2 sets of 4 mixers in 1 quadrant, and then 4 sets of packing stations in another quadrant. And it should have worked perfectly, but the workers kept breaking. I don't mind them being slow because I have enough workers that dude, I actually had a problem of I was making too many drugs. I'm not even kidding. Like I didn't know what to do with it all. I could not keep up with it. There was literally too many drugs. Wholly too many drugs. And so I'd have to take like days away from it, right? To keep from having too many because I just didn't know what to do with it all. And I was still paying them to be around. And it was like, fuck. I mean, it wasn't a lot of money, but it was kind of annoying. And I'm like, I got to find a better way to organize this. The dealers are a problem, but what you can do is there's a list. You can find it online. It's of the big rollers. You need to immediately take all the big rollers off of all of your dealers' lists. You need to remove them from your dealer lists. Only directly deal to high rollers and multiply their asking price by 1.6. 90% of the time, they will buy it for 1.6 times. So if you got a high roller who's willing to spend like $1,000 on product, right? Sell it to him for 1,600 instead. And 90% of the time, they will accept that. You'll immediately be making 60% more profit on the deals you have, and the deals you have are bigger. That would be what I would do in your case. Only low rollers to dealers. But I haven't even gotten to the cocaine part. It was literally just amphetamine and weed production, real complicated. The ingredients were a pain in the ass with the chemists too, because I had to give them 4 stations apiece and have like a worker move from one station to the other. So it'd go from one set of 4 stations to the other set of 4. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get back into it because I know I can make it work. It was them not filling pots with soil. Them literally breaking, even though they had soil and seeds, they wouldn't do anything. Cleaners that wouldn't clean up. They'd be like, there's nothing to do. And there would be shit all over their station. And yet at the same time, I was producing so many drugs, I didn't know what to do with them. Dude, if they fix the workers, and they probably need some in-game high rollers thing. What they should do is, as you play the game from beginning to end, it should highlight who high rollers are. So once you've done like 3 deals with a guy, it will get like an achievement. You've gotten your first high roller, and then it'll add like a star to their name. That way, when you go to dealers, you give them all the people that don't have a star because those aren't high rollers. You're not having to do it manually, you know? There's only one use for the weapons. Only one use for the weapons that I know of. And that is, you know the place that you can go to after 6 p.m. to buy stuff? What you do is, you knock out the supplies guy and you carry him back to wherever your main operation is. No, bear with me. So if you go to where like the weapons guy, the worker guy, and the supplies guy is, go to the supply guy, bonk him on the head, carry him to wherever your main stash house is, and lay him on the ground. Then go back to the weapons guy, bonk him. He'll try to attack you. He will literally follow you to your main place. So you just run back to your main place, and when he gets there, bonk him over the head, pick him up, and set him next to the guy you just brought. Then do the same thing with the worker. Now they will stay there. So you can stand them outside of your main barn or whatever, and they will stay there. You no longer have to wait till 6 p.m. to access them. You can access them 24 hours a day. That's the only use for weapons I've ever seen. Is literally pissing them off to get them to you. I made, this does look really cool. I made the mistake of watching like one Schedule 1 video and got suggested like a bunch of shorts. Most of these I've learned from YouTube Shorts. Little 30-second snippets. Hey, if you want to have access to these guys 24 hours a day, the supplies guy won't try to attack you. So you have to knock him out and actually carry him, which is a pain because he's real glitchy. So good luck with that. Don't save or anything because you might glitch him somewhere weird. But the other guys, they'll try to attack you and they will follow you once they're aggroed. So you just get them aggroed. They'll follow you back to wherever you want them. Then you knock them out. And when they wake back up, they shouldn't be aggroed anymore and they'll be standing where you want them. You could take them all the way back to the barn or wherever. Yeah, were you here, Morinir, when we were watching that B-29 flight? I ended up subscribing to that channel. Because they had a bunch of cool shit. There was one I was going to watch that was a flight at 70,000 feet. Someone live streamed flying a jet at 70,000 feet. It might have been these turn and burn guys. I saved it to watch later, I think, because I was like, dude, I gotta see this. Hang on. Give me a second. Watch later. Playlists. Watch later. It's gonna play metal. Just. Oh yeah. I was thinking about buying this guitar, which is why I have this video. Nope, didn't save it. Fuck. What do you guys think of Katy Perry going to space? You think it was real? I don't think it was real, chat. I'm going to be honest. I actually don't think it was real. I can't believe I'm going to be that conspiracy guy. But something real suspicious happened. Okay, so there is a possibility that it's real. But when someone inside opened the hatch door from inside and then they had to quickly close it again and have Jeff Bezos open it with a special tool. But there's all sorts of problems. There are all sorts of problems with it. The biggest problem is like quarantine and stuff. Generally, when a capsule comes back from space, you quarantine it. And the reason is you've got to run tests. Make sure that there's not like radiation or anything like that that could potentially be a problem. None of that. We had none of that. Traditionally, capsules don't open in, they open out. Even though it's a huge pain in the ass, by the way. We used to open them in until a terrible fire killed a bunch of guys. And then we were like, maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. We should open them out. It's going to be a huge pain in the ass to like, you know, have the technology to do it correctly, but we're going to have to do this for safety reasons. So that was suspicious already that it opened in instead of out, right? They didn't do a sea landing, which is also kind of odd. But there's, yeah, I mean, it just, the whole thing is super suspicious. The whole thing is suspicious. The whole thing felt like a real TV skit. So maybe it was real, but they did it in the worst possible way they could imagine because they went so over the top with everything that I am not like a science denier guy. I'm legitimately not. We landed on the fucking moon, chat. The world is a globe. It's not flat. You know what I mean? Like, especially when it comes to space stuff, I'm pretty well on top of it. That is the first flight I've seen where I'm like, oh, this is... Yeah, that's another thing. They just went up high and dropped. I'm pretty sure the weightlessness was the angle of the rocket. I could be wrong. I need to go back and look more closely at it. Yeah, so it was near Earth orbit, right? Well, I don't even think it was. I don't even think they went into orbit. They didn't even go into orbit, did they? Pretty sure they didn't. My headphones died, motherfucker.
Right now,
I'm gonna have to look more into it, but there's a lot of weird stuff about it.
Feet high at the edge of space. If you look
One
out,
guy who was a
you can
conspiracy
actually see
theorist
the
was like,
curvature of the Earth.
this is a satanic
Flat
plot.
earthers
The
out
symbols,
there, I
the
hate to burst
patches
your
on their
bubble, but take
the patches on their suits make a Baphomet when you turn it upside down, and they went up in a giant cock and came down in a giant uterus, and yeah. To be fair, I guess that would be a good reason why they didn't get quarantined, but still. It's just the whole thing was so real TV like that. It's also like it's so sexist. We cannot be screaming women's empowerment about this. A rich man helped a couple rich celebrities who happen to be female go to space in the name of female empowerment. It feels so sexist. It feels so incredibly sexist. Imagine, right? You're doing the deed with your girlfriend and you're wrapping up and she pats you on your head and says, "Oh, good boy, you did a good job." You think that'd be patronizing? Think that'd be just a little bit? That's how that space flight felt. It's like, "Oh, you did such a good job. Look at you. Strong woman." It felt so sexist to me for some reason. It felt so unnecessarily sexist, but at the same time, like espousing female empowerment. I'm like, oh God, you guys, Jesus Christ. Like, we've had female astronauts, right? Like the real thing, not just some rich celebrity. People who actually worked really fucking hard at it and were good. The fuck?
Take a look at that.
To be fair, the spaceship did look like a cock. It looked like I don't know why he made his ships look like a big cock. I have to give it to Elon Musk. Pointy is better. Say at least his rockets don't look like cocks.
Welcome to Beale Air Force Base. Dating back to the 1960s,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They didn't even go into orbit.
this base has been known for one main thing: flying spy planes. What began with the legendary SR-71 Blackbird now continues with the U-2, an aircraft developed in secrecy within Area 51 to fly espionage missions over the Soviet Union during the Cold War.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like that Felix guy, the one that jumped. It's like the same height, isn't it? The guy who jumped from space. It's high. It's not, it's not something to scoff at. It's impressive. I'm just not impressed by sending some celebrities to the edge of space and then shouting female empowerment as a result of it. That feels really, really condescending to me. And I mean condescending toward women. Because we've had women like work on the space station. We retrieved some not long ago. We retrieved a woman not long ago who was supposedly trapped up there, right? Like, there are real female astronauts whose names I struggle to remember. So shame on fucking me, but they're like incredibly talented, incredibly intelligent, hardworking, insanely hardworking people. And instead we're just putting a feather in Katy Perry's cap. Who gives a fuck about Katy Perry?
But despite over half a century of advancements in technology, the iconic U-2, known by its nickname the Dragon Lady, continues to fly, taking Air Force...
I don't want to watch this whole thing. I just want to see the section where they're literally on the edge of space. If they don't, I'm going to be so mad. Yeah, here we go. We can actually watch the launch.
Support, have a safe flight.
Emergency O2 lanyard.
Installed.
O2 QDs.
Pushed in.
Seekers drop parachute remains on flow.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and a ball. Have a safe flight.
Inspels tools cleared off, Chief. See you.
The U-2 may look like a giant glider, but in her core, she is a fighter.
Dude, out of context, that is so funny. My colonist wanted to torture prisoners due to ate without table, got throat punched, and went down in a hit.
Jet.
What are you
Takes
playing?
off like a rocket every time.
So, Mongo, I heard you two pilots don't call it a takeoff, you call it a launch. Is that true?
It is. It takes a bunch of people to make this bird take off, and we appreciate all of them. Maybe
Wow, I did not realize the wingspan. Look at that fucking wingspan, dude.
everybody.
It looks like a cartoon of a
Everything
plane.
they do to make the mission happen.
And then it's a blast off, huh?
You're back in zero.
I'm not so interested in the banter. I wish they hadn't dramatized all this.
Right, you're right. Booga free, booga free.
Did you see how much he was turning?
Right, you're right.
No, he's... Never mind.
Here we go. Whoa! That is fast.
Honestly, the wingspan is probably so that there's more surface area for lift at higher altitudes or the air is thinner. So instead of relying on speed to get lift, you're relying on surface area. The opposite approach to the SR-71.
That is incredible.
We ain't done yet. So right now we're about 0.3 miles from the field in the spiral climb.
That was literally a rocket
Dude, you couldn't put me in one of these because I'd grab it and be like, we're going this way now. Oh no, we're gonna die.
ship. Makes
How do you get a U-2 spy plane out of a death spiral? Fuck.
sense you wear the spacesuits.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize how wide the wingspan is. Like I get why it's that way, but you've got a point.
Copy,
Yeah.
09 passing 200.
What did they do on Mythbusters with this?
230 request higher.
Request higher.
Climb maintain outer above flight level 600, report reaching.
Outer above 600, pinion 09, woke up.
It's funny, I was gonna ask, is it normal, like right after you put your suit on, you just get like an itch on your nose?
It can.
And it's like, can't do much for the next couple hours.
Yep. There's 45,000, Sam.
Hang on, I'll check
The
it.
highest you've ever been.
So I did hit 50,000 once in an F-15, which was incredible, but we only did it for a few seconds, so this is gonna be a lot more legit, I'd say.
Yeah, we won't have any problem shattering that one today.
I like that the pilot's visor is tinted, which actually makes sense because it is hella bright. You have there's no shadows up there. It is super fucking bright. It's just full ass sun. And the entire surface beneath you is white and reflecting that light. So it makes sense.
Now, crossing 50,000 feet is a bit of a milestone. This is the once
Sam, there goes.
I do not care about this dude's banter.
Territory from here.
And you can see she still wants to climb.
At altitudes above 50,000 feet, a person will become quickly hypoxic. Why? Simply put, there's not enough air pressure to allow your lungs to absorb the limited amount of oxygen that's in the atmosphere. So if you're going to be flying at these altitudes, you need to be wearing a full pressure suit, hence why we call it the space equivalent zone.
So if you notice here, if you kind of look slightly above the horizon, you can see a gradation of blue into a dark blue.
Yeah.
If you could look directly above you, it would go even darker. So as we continue to climb here, if you kind of
Do a barrel roll.
versus towards the sun there, and you can start to make out the gentle curve.
As the numbers on the altimeter continued to climb higher and higher, and as we quickly approached the 70,000 foot milestone, the views to my left and right were something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Other than the astronauts in the International Space Station,
Yeah, why are you guys using such wide angle cameras? You trying to make it look like it's curved? You sons of bitches.
the two of us sitting in this
Flat Earthers have members all around the globe, chat.
aircraft are the
Unite.
highest human beings in the
So
world.
dumb.
And as my pilot Mongo reminded
Dude, you are not the highest human being in the world. That's probably either Charlie Sheen or Tommy Chong. Sorry. Oh, no, Joey Diaz. Maybe Joey Diaz.
me, because the rear cockpit
Those are at least the 3 highest people on the planet right now.
in the two-seat version of the U-2 sits a few feet higher than the pilot in the front, that meant I was actually the highest human on Earth.
He really doesn't know Joey Diaz, apparently.
You really are on top of the world here.
Who's higher, this guy or a dude that just ate 500 milligrams of edibles? Pull up the clip, Jamie.
Well, you more than me right now.
Yeah, that is true. And I guess I'm, what, 2 feet higher than you?
Yeah, a couple feet higher.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. There's a lot of weird stuff, too. Like, the idea that there's zero gravity in space is kind of a misnomer. Right? Like, you feel as though you're experiencing 0G, but the truth is that you're just falling at a consistent rate that results in an orbit around the Earth. So you are still... The reason why you feel that way is because you're being pulled by the Earth in a curve that forms an orbit, right? So you're technically in free fall when you're in space. You're always affected by gravity. There's no escaping it. You're tethered to everything.
Up until this point, for my entire...
The reason why I thought of that is like, okay, once you get to like 0.01% atmosphere, is that no longer the Earth? Right? Once you're able, I bet you could say you're no longer on the Earth once you're able to form a stable orbit. I wonder what the actual boundary is. Have a good day.
Life, every
It's
time
good
I've
knowing you,
ever
bro.
looked up during the day, I've seen blue sky or clouds. Now, below us. So when you look...
I don't think it ever will.
Wait, what?
Does the view ever get old?
Known as an airspeed or...
Something else you'll notice, bottom, climbing into Coffin Corner.
And stall at any given time.
God, I hate listening to these guys. I'm going to be honest. I don't like listening to their banter. I'm going to be real. Their banter annoys me for some reason. Let's check out this Sonic television show clip. Oh, this is Mythbusters.
Taking off. Oh man, that is a lot of horsepower. That's a wow. We're already lifting. That's crazy. Whoa! Wow!
This is way more interesting. Bro is having a fun time.
Man, that's steep.
Is that the same fucking dude? I think that's the same dude. I think he just aged.
Wow! We are already lifting. We're backing hard to the right. This is part of a takeoff that keeps the U-2 above the base. We're sort of spiraling straight up. Holy cow! That was so fast! We're turning on a dime as we spiral up into the air.
I like his interactions with Corridor Crew where they do practical versus visual effects. Very fun.
Rapid initial ascent.
Oh my god, the view is beautiful.
Major Bartholomew and Adam get a chance to sit back and relax.
Right now we just passed the top of Mount Everest.
Major Bartholomew. Hang on.
Now, one of the most accurate descriptions I've...
With such rich heritage.
CIA.
Hang on.
Except that bicycle weighs...
Mission. It behaves like a lady. It's a reconnaissance.
Yeah, do they introduce this guy?
All of you to come with me on this flight. It's as much for you as it is for me.
Hang on, I want to see if they enter.
To disconnect, I'm just gonna disconnect here.
It's gonna be everything's clunky. You're gonna have this giant.
I want to see if it shows his name on his tag.
To fly in an event of an minute. Fit to successfully eject and bail
Fuck.
out should we experience a malfunction in even basics in parachute navigation so that I can
Michael
safely
something.
steer-
What have I just stood up into?
Yeah, it's Michael something. It's the same facility, but it's not the same person.
They attain cruising
They just look similar.
We're transitioning now from 160 knot climb.
Well, this guy, if this is Bartholomew, this is a different dude. It was the guy in the intro.
715.
So that might be the same person.
3/4 the speed of sound.
Wait, what did he say?
3/4 knot climb.
until they attain cruising altitude.
We're transitioning now from 160 knot climb to a 0.715 Mach cruise. 3/4 the speed of sound. This is officially the highest off the ground I have ever been. We're coming up on 60,000 feet, 12 miles above the surface of the Earth. The sky has gotten to be a very, very dark blue. What an unbelievably beautiful day.
And from this height, 67,500 feet, the edge of our planet has a definitive curve to it. It is more three-dimensional than I have ever seen it. There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, 70,000 feet.
Pretty damn cool. This is a way better video than the other one.
At this point, aside from the 6 astronauts on the space station, we are...
Now, to be fair, that curvature is probably exaggerated by the camera that they use, but it's still, I guarantee you in person, there is a noticeable curvature at that height.
Of planet Earth. More than double the height of a standard commercial airliner. Oh, and did I mention I'm wearing a pressurized spacesuit? Yeah. Strapped to a rocket. This is not a bad way to spend your day. Jamie, I totally owe you one.
Pretty fucking cool. All right, Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's go.
It all comes down to this one
Okay, out of context, this is probably not going to make any sense, but fuck it.
penalty kick. Can the young woman break the glass ceiling and prove once and for all that a female can be just as good an athlete as a male?
You know, Amy, anytime someone
Dude, their foliage is good.
calls attention to the breaking of gender rules, it ultimately undermines the concept of gender equality by implying that this is an exception and not the status quo. What? Just because I'm a meathead doesn't mean I'm not a feminist.
Bro, nailed it. Holy shit. Yeah, that is literally exactly my point with this space flight. Also, if it feels like a lot of modern identity politics is like a ploy to distract people from the fact that it's more a modern day class issue. Like there is a huge disparity between the haves and the have-nots. Much, much greater difference between those two groups of people than gender, sexual orientation, or race, in my opinion. It's like, don't get mad at the super rich people that are destroying the world. Don't get mad at them. Get mad at the Democrats or whatever. It's like, fuck, man. Really? Two years ago, Ray the Pony said it's been years since Knuckles said this, and some individuals still haven't gotten the message. It's accurate, dude. That's pretty fucking accurate. I think I'm probably going to get off here for the day. I'll try to come back Monday if I can. I need to figure out what I'm playing next. I have no idea. But yeah. Yeah, the as far as like the traveling around in a van thing, I think I'm going to actually try that. If I had the money, I would probably buy that church van I found. It was the best deal I could find. It still has seats and shit in it, and it's a windowed van, which means that winterizing it will be harder, but it also means that there will be more sunlight. So if I can find a way to winterize the windows, then it'd be better than a prison van looking thing. Also, I imagine I'll get pulled over fairly frequently because there have been so many human trafficking things going on. I don't know if you guys heard about that U-Haul. U-Haul human trafficking. Oh, there's a K when it's ing, right? Yeah, East Ridge police discover 5 children in U-Haul cargo on I-75. I-75 is about an hour from where I live. It's at East Ridge, Tennessee. So this is just southeast of me. Probably like an hour and a half, I think. Hang on, I'll find out for sure. Oh, I can do this on my phone, which will save us trouble. Yeah, it happens. That actually did look really cute, though, I have to admit. I used to watch the old animated one when I was a kid, the old animated Sonic. There also was an animated Mario that lasted a hot minute. Didn't watch that one as much, though. It's a good distance, actually. It's about 150 miles from where I live, so never mind. That must be South Tennessee. But yeah, that's crazy, dude. But yeah, I'm very seriously considering just pulling together some money, going on trips every now and then. And we can just pull up a map of the region and have chat vote on where I go, what I do. You should go to Washington, D.C. and protest for Palestine, or, you know, it's something silly. That's actually not silly, but you know what I mean. Like, there's a lot within driving distance of me. I would prefer to avoid larger cities. I don't mind visiting them, but I don't want to go spend a week in Chicago. Chicago's a little bit too dangerous for my taste. New York, maybe. But yeah, there's still a lot of cool places we could go. Like, I could go to Memphis, Tennessee, or Nashville, or up to Cincinnati. I can maybe make it to Cleveland, which is cool. Go as far south as maybe Atlanta. Actually, to be fair, I could probably, in 5 days, very easily make it to Florida. All right, so the southern tip of Florida is Miami. How far does it say it is? It's a hell of ways, I'm sure. Sure, from there, it doesn't matter. $14. Yeah, I could do that in a day. On Monday, take a 14-hour drive to Miami, then spend, 3 days there, 14-hour drive back. Definitely could do that. That'd be fucking cool, man. That'd be a lot of fun. Within a day's drive of where I live is so many places. Because Dallas, Texas was 16 hours. I did that trip both ways, one single drive. Anyway, I'm gonna get off here. Stop meandering so much. But I'll be back Monday probably. Until then, boys and girls, I bid you all adieu. Have a wonderful night. Brax, good luck with your game. Morinir, good luck with your colonists. Be careful of the throat punches.